Welcome to the Small Talk podcast with the Small Real Estate team. This is a podcast where we talk to local figures, entrepreneurs, and business people in the Grand Rapids area, and we highlight their business and what they do for our community. Today, we're joined by Alicia Shumaker with Flamingo Consulting. I'm Mike Smulligan with Smulligan Real Estate. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much. This is a beautiful new space you guys have.
Yeah, we're getting there. So tell me a little bit about your business.
So I am the owner and founder of Flamingo Consulting. We are a digital marketing agency. It started as a little side hustle I was doing in between momming. I'm a mom of 3 girls. Awesome. And they're 9, 7, and 5. Send help in about 5 years. Yeah. I'm going to need all the help I can get.
I have twin girls that are 10. They love to watch ones. I think your 9-year-old might be a little too old for them. But they are definitely
the drama is going to be good strong in my house. Yeah. It's super loud. There's Barbies everywhere. It's chaos.
Yeah.
But in between all of the momming, I wanted to find a way to help support my family, and my background is in marketing. So I was doing a lot of market research for different companies around the world. You know, I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do a conference call with Australia, and then go into mom mode for the day and then dip back into it at night. So in 2020, I decided I didn't really want to be a grown up as my kids were getting older. Yeah. I didn't want to have a real job in a cubicle anymore. So I started focusing on what I wanted to do and building out Flamingo Consulting beyond just this little couple hours a week or one project at a time businesses. And I don't know if you noticed in 2020, there was like this big thing. There was a kind of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Kind of shut the world down a little bit. It was just this little blip, right? And at that point, I really realized that there was a lot of businesses that just didn't have a digital footprint.
No.
They didn't have websites, they didn't have social media, or they had a page and they never touched it. And there were so many opportunities for them to really stay afloat by using digital. And how do we help them? And not how do we do it for them, but how do we give them the tools they need to be successful when their money's running tight? So we focused on coaching and then doing additional offerings and helping people pace what they need to grow.
Okay.
And in 2020, we quadrupled in size.
Wow.
I know, through a pandemic, and hired a bigger team, and I brought in a VP, and we started getting into more website development and social media management. We really started building into ads. The next year we tripled in size, and then we doubled in size again last year. We're continuing to grow, but really growing based on what our clients and customers need, not based on how many things can we put in our back pocket. It has everything to do with how do we help a business be more successful, and what tools do they need in order for them to grow. And those are the things that we need to do then.
Yeah, I mean, we're going through a lot of changes as an economy or a nation, right? With advertising and the ways we can reach our clients. So there's, so many different ways that we can do it now, but previously you had television ads and newspapers and
there's these businesses or these advertising options are not necessarily built with the business in mind. They're built to make money. So when you look at social media advertising or Google advertising, and those are really our 2 biggest strong suits right now, is focusing on how do we utilize these tools that exist, but how do we make sure we maximize the capability that's there. So we will have clients that will start doing social media ads, and typically you would consider a good social media ad being $1 per click, right? Sure. That's a pretty good ad that converts really well. We're getting them down to 17 cents a click. 17. That is insanely helpful to a business that has a really small budget. Now, these businesses are not giving us $10,000 a month in ad spend. These businesses are giving us what they can, $100, $150. And we're really doubling down on this big marketing agency skill set, but focused on West Michigan small business.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like you guys have grown,
we definitely have
a lot. Where are you finding your clients?
We find them all over West Michigan. I have a passion and a history with being a small business owner and supporting small businesses. My dad was an entrepreneur. It was what I always wanted to do, but I see and connect with so many business owners, especially female business owners in different marketing or different networking organizations and things that I connect and plug into.
Sure.
And that's where a lot of times where I'm finding people is just in passing.
Word of mouth.
It's word of mouth, or, you just come across a business and you feel like, how can I help you? What do you need? And maybe it's not me. Maybe it's, I really need more staff. Great. Here's this great resource that I might have. I'm an entrepreneur, but I feel like my superpower is in connection. I would much rather send somebody the thing they need instead of sell them something they don't, even if it's mine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think a lot of times you focus on the people and the problems will solve themselves, and then, the money will follow, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think you need to focus on how do I make money? How do I help people? And how do I connect people, right?
Exactly.
Which is helping them all at the same time.
And connecting them to the resources or the tools or the other person they need. You need a new banker. I've got great bankers. Do you want small bank? Do you want big bank? Do you need funding? Okay, there's these great organizations that you can look at. Here's some angel investors that I know of. Well, how much money are we talking about? I help small business owners build business plans and help them seek funding because of all of the business plans that I've written and all the connections I have. I know what they're looking for. I know exactly how to build it and what questions to ask. So we already know the answer when the bank asks.
Yeah. So do you have any success stories of clients or people that you've helped, maybe from the beginning to the end, some major?
So one business that we work with, they came to us and said, hey, we think we want to do this extension of a business. It was a DJ company, and they think they want to get into photo booths. And which, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? We're going to weddings. Why not
People
have
want
photo
pictures
booth?
when there's a DJ.
Exactly. Let's just do them together. And between my business background and the coaching pieces and just the marketing side of things, I help them to realize that, okay, these two things need to actually be separate. They can be partners, they can be friends, we can promote them together and side by side, but they need to be separate businesses. And so we were able to help them develop an entire brand, logo, design, website, social media, really start to build that out into its own standalone brand. And it's been incredibly successful by the two owners being able to see a reason for keeping them separate, but also having all the tools and having all the branding and having all of the pieces they need to really launch this business successfully from the very beginning. Yeah, so that's probably one of my favorites.
That would give the photo booth company more opportunities when they're separate, because I'm sure there's a lot of other DJs out there that don't have that capability. So that makes a lot of sense. So alongside Flamingo Consulting, you also own a women's leadership or run a women's leadership event? It's
a women's leadership event company. So I'm one of the co-founders. It's called Kaleidoscope Effect. And this was it's a passion project turned almost obsession. In all of my business background, one of the things that I realized is that women tend to build businesses, lead organizations just differently than their male counterparts. Not in a bad way, but we're a lot of times feeling like we have to conform or go back to the old school ways of business, or I have to play golf in order to do sales. And that's not necessarily accurate. But we also, as women, tend to isolate ourselves, especially in business situations. So in working with my business partner, Rebecca Thomas, who's absolutely amazing. She's a life coach.
Okay.
And my marketing background, we realized that there was this big opportunity in West Michigan to find ways to support women, not just in business, but in their lives and leadership roles, whether that's leading at home, leading in business, leading their own businesses, or leading within larger organizations. So the focus is really on living and leading authentically and holistically. We don't have to conform to somebody else's ideals of leadership. We can build as we are. So as a leader myself in my organization, I am awkward. I am loud. I am kind of uncomfortable all the time. And that actually is one of the things that tends to make my team more comfortable. It tends to make us have better conversations. It makes them more comfortable talking to me about things that they're struggling with, because I'm kind of a mess all the time.
Your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
But they're absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't trade a single member of my team for anything. They work hard. They're some of the best in their industry, but because they feel comfortable with me, they're more successful. And so how do we create spaces for women that are like that create tribes, that create opportunities to connect and feel like you're just not so isolated? And we do that through monthly connection events. Like, think of it like networking, but minus the handing out all the business cards and calling everybody later for a lunch.
Yeah, the cheesy kind.
Yeah,
right?
Just those deep conversations. We had one last night, and it was small but mighty. We were able to talk about things that were hard and what it's like to have to step back and just kind of coast when you're in a big growth goal. Like, what does it mean to have to slow down and not dip back into some of those old habits?
Yeah.
We do a yearly event called the Winter Basque we had in January. It was a massive party. There was women dressed in everything from pajamas to ball gowns, and we had a mirrored photo booth, and it was women only. We wouldn't even allow our vendors to send their male counterparts. We only allowed women in the room.
And I feel really left out.
I'm so sorry. It is. It's one of those, it's hard to explain why that was such a powerful moment, but it allowed the women in the room to just celebrate their wins for the year and not feel like they had to play nice or pretend. And it just allowed for a really safe space for women to connect in a different way.
Yeah.
We do the same thing through a migration once a year. We're actually going to a women's leadership conference in Phoenix in August, but we're taking people with us. Rebecca and I went last year. It was the catalyst to start Kaleidoscope Effect, but now we're bringing women with us to this amazing space surrounded by amazing women. And we're going to include coaching and support afterwards. So the goals that you set while you're there, the excitement you have, we're going to help to carry it back here to Grand Rapids and these women to be powerful here.
Yeah. Anytime I go to a conference, I come back with like 1,000 things that I want to do.
Yes. It's like drinking from a fire hose. You have this whole list of things. And then a week later, you're like, why am I doing any of this? I think I need a nap. So this is a great way to continue to look at these ideas, hold yourself accountable, hold each other accountable, and then celebrate the wins with somebody who was there when you were first inspired.
Yeah, that's
it's
amazing.
a really exciting trip coming up.
So through this leadership company, do you offer other types of events or programs like?
Yeah, so those monthly connection events are once a month. You can find the events on Eventbrite. They're also all over our socials and our website. We have that yearly migration. We have the yearly winter basque, and then every quarter we do mini retreats. So whether those are outdoor, like our one coming up in June, or indoor, like we had. We did it a couple of months ago, and it's just a great way to spend half a day. We usually have a topic or a thing that we're going to be talking about or really improving on, whether that's outward motivation and metamorphosis or internal cocooning and figuring out what's important to you.
Yeah.
It all goes back to this whole butterfly vibe. A kaleidoscope is a collection of butterflies. So we support and lean into everything that makes you unique, but also allows you to come together as part of a kaleidoscope.
Sounds amazing.
It is. I'm mildly obsessed and incredibly proud of this one.
So other than being a woman, is there any other requirements to be part of that group?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can be a leader. You can be somebody who's just getting their feet wet in their career, moms, non-moms, retired, new in career. It really is just, if you identify as a woman, we would love to celebrate with you and celebrate you as a person.
Awesome. What advice would you give to somebody just kind of starting out as an entrepreneur? Maybe something that you know now that you wish you would have known when you started?
The biggest advice I can give you is don't walk with expectation. It is so easy to think that a business is going to go a certain way or a plan is going to go a certain way. I mean, I've written over the years dozens of business plans with people, for people, as my own, and it never goes the way you think it's going to go.
Sure.
Right? You can plan for everything, contingency plans coming out your ears, but it's never going to go quite that way. And walking with expectation leads you to feel like a failure at every turn because it's not going the way you had envisioned. You can have the big goals, but we have to be able to adapt. And we also have to be able to recognize that something not going the way we thought could be a massive opportunity. And for an entrepreneur, you just have this belief that I have to be successful the first time. I've owned and closed half a dozen businesses in the last 15 years. It started with a bakery. I had a bakery and I worked full time, and it was a 2 or 3 year stint. That was perfect. And I closed the door on it because it was the end of it for me. And I think there's such an opportunity in thinking that a business doesn't have to exist forever, and it doesn't have to be exactly what you envisioned the day the idea popped into your head.
Definitely. What would be, so would the bakery be one of your biggest failures?
I refuse to call any business a failure.
Okay.
It's not, and I chose to close my business.
Sure.
It didn't take me under, it didn't file for bankruptcy. I was pregnant with my firstborn, and I was on bed rest, and I couldn't work a bakery.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I could have planned for with that. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was also a great reminder that, okay, this is another phase of my life. I don't want to carry this.
Sure.
I had every expectation that I was going to go back to working my corporate job after I had my daughter. I didn't have any intentions of working a full-time job and running a bakery and trying to be a mom. So I chose being a mom over a business.
Fair enough. I don't think failures are a bad thing, right? So I think we learn from
Absolutely.
our mistakes. It makes us a stronger, better person. And we can really take a lot of positive wins out of even a big time mistake or fail.
Yeah.
Personally, I actually ran a tanning salon.
Nice.
So not something I would have ever said, this is what I want to do, but it was an opportunity that presented itself, and I gave it a shot and knew nothing about that industry or the products, but I gave it a shot. And I do feel like I learned something from that, but maybe more of just to give it a shot, right? Just you don't know what you don't know. And
I think that's the problem for me. I refuse to call it a failure. Even if it ends badly, it ends poorly, or it just ends, that doesn't make it a failure. It means, okay, well, could we have done something different? Absolutely. But was it a huge learning opportunity? Like, what things that you learned running that tanning salon, what things did you learn that you apply now to your business? Are there things that you do better, differently? You know more, you can support your clients better because of something you learned there.
Yeah, I think, it's been such a long time. I don't know specifically what I learned from that, but I do know that probably helped me better manage people, especially people that are doing something that I'm not completely familiar with. So previous to that, I had a cell phone store, and I knew that, right? I knew phones, I knew the inventory, I knew the people, but then jumping into a totally different product and people that you're dealing with and a type of business.
Different world.
So
really.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and I think that you can learn from your mistakes. And there was an event here in Grand Rapids called Failure Lab. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
that was a phenomenal program.
Yeah, that was really good. I wish it would come back. So whoever's out there that runs that,
whoever's doing that, please bring Failure. I will happily stand on stage and talk about all the things that I've screwed up.
Are we going to call them failures?
I don't think we should.
I think we should.
Okay, well then sure, we'll lean into failure.
Still failure, right? But failure can be okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let you have this one.
All right. So, where do you live?
I am actually just north of Grand Rapids, but I'm a Grand Rapids born and bred. I've been here since birth. I went to Godwin Heights. Okay. Graduated there, and we're not going to talk about years. I'm not going to tell you how many years ago. It was a couple of years ago. Okay. I went away to Michigan State, graduated in 3 years, and immediately came back and started working a corporate job here in Grand Rapids. And I don't know that I would ever want to live anywhere else. Okay. I do have family here, but I also have family around the country. I love Grand Rapids. It is like the biggest small town, and it has everything that I could possibly want, and close enough to things that maybe we don't have here, but I can easily get where I want to go. Yeah.
So, I've lived in Grand Rapids my entire life also, and I haven't lived anywhere else. So I don't know that I could say that it's the best place on earth, but it's the best place I know. Yeah. Right. And, what are some of your favorite restaurants or places to go?
Okay. I'm such a foodie. I love food. One of my favorites, and I feel like it never gets talked about, it's been around for a while, Devani. It's over on Ionia. It's so delicious. Their chef there is just incredible. They have an amazing wine list. They have a burger that you have to call it that because it looks like a burger, but it is a whole emotional experience to eat this burger, and it feels like it shouldn't be there, and it's just incredible. So that's one of my favorites for when it comes to food. But I mean, just the variety that's out there. I love Chef Jenna at Amway. So definitely just a little bit outside of town, but it's so comfortable, that comfort food without feeling like it's just generic. So much flavor, so much love in that space, and so much love from the people there. My gosh, I could go there every single night. I probably would if they were open 7 days a week.
That good, huh?
Yes.
So would you attribute Grand Rapids to your personal or professional growth? How has Grand Rapids helped you? So with the amount of industry and high-level businesses that have a footprint here, I feel like it's given me a lot of opportunities to make connections around the world. So my very first career was at Amway, and it allowed me to travel to 5 continents, and 2 more are on the way. Don't worry, I'm planning.
I've got the last two already in my sights, but being able to travel and see the bigger picture, but then I'm able to come home, drive 20 minutes and I'm in an apple orchard. Like it just gives me that option to connect with people that are much larger, much further away because of the connections here, but still feel like I'm home and still feel comfortable and safe and protected and surrounded by my people.
So you said 20 minutes, but that's a funny thing about Grand Rapids. You can really drive 20 minutes and be anywhere. Apple orchard or
isn't that amazing?
A lake. I mean, yeah. So
you're so close to anything you could ever want.
Yeah.
And it boggles my mind. I mean, 20 minutes and you're in an entire different world.
So you lived in East Lansing for a little while?
I did. I lived in East Lansing for 3 years.
Okay.
I'm a Spartan. Go Green. All of you Michigan fans, don't hate and don't unfollow me just because.
Podcast is over.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, well, that was fun. I did live in East Lansing, and I mean, that's a beautiful college town. It was definitely an experience that I loved. I didn't necessarily plan to come back to Grand Rapids. That was not like the ideal plan. I mean, it was just, I got an amazing job offer to be here in Grand Rapids, and how do you turn down your first amazing job offer, right? Right out of college. I don't think you can either.
Especially if it's in Grand Rapids.
I mean, and it let me feel comfortable, but still start to get my feet wet in the corporate world. So it was amazing.
So how would East Lansing compare to Grand Rapids? Like what would be different?
So, I mean, coming from the super college town where it is a party or it is study or it is like, there's only two ends of that spectrum. There's no middle. Coming back to Grand Rapids just felt more holistic. It gives you a lot more opportunities. It gives you a lot of different experiences around every corner, where East Lansing, especially living right and around the university, it's that university vibe all the time. Fridays and Saturday nights, do not expect to go to sleep without people screaming outside of your door. You're just not going to get that. Here, 20 minutes and you're camping in the middle of nowhere and it's silent.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different environment. I think East Lansing's amazing, but it was a perfect life stage space for me. Don't know that I would ever want to live there again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. It's fun to visit, right?
And I still love to visit. There's still places that I love to see, and it's very close, like to downtown Lansing, which I think is also beautiful, and there's a ton of history there. But I mean, I love the vibe here. It just has so many opportunities and so many connections. And now as it continues to get bigger and more connected, and we're really focusing on diversity and the opportunities of putting new things out there, I'm just in awe of the new art and culture things that are coming through here every day.
I've been in Grand Rapids my whole life also. And just the downtown area and everything has changed so much in the last 10 years, like the skyline.
It's beautiful though.
Everything, right? So
yeah. It feels like we keep getting bigger, like bigger city,
yeah.
But you're still 20 minutes away from solitude.
So somebody visiting Grand Rapids, what's one thing you would say they have to do?
You just have to. Oh, well, okay, that narrows it down a lot. Yeah. But honestly, I think walking around and seeing just the art that is around. I mean, but whether it's murals or some of the big sculptures, I mean, even seeing the Calder is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's easy to forget how cool that stuff is when you see it all the time.
When you're so used to seeing it all the time. And I think with all of these things, especially with Art Prize having come through for so many years, we have these incredible art installations that we've been able to embrace and adopt, and they've become part of our skyline and part of what we just become used to. There's so many beautiful parts of this city. The best thing you could possibly do is just walk around and look at these beautiful old buildings and look at these cultural pieces that are just waiting for you to find them.
So what would you say like one of those hidden gems would be?
One of my favorite things around Grand Rapids, and it's really small, is the paintings on some of these corner like electrical boxes, and they're the alphabet of different artists or different women. And I love finding them. My kids love to spot them out the window, or, I mean, when we're driving around downtown, I'm hearing constantly out every ear, "Oh, Mom, look at that one." I'm about to run into traffic and run into a car, but Mom, look at this one, or look at this one, or, oh, this one is This one is this woman. Oh, I was just reading about her in class. And so it's really exciting for me for them to be excited about seeing just the little pieces around Grand Rapids.
So there's a theme to those boxes?
It's a whole alphabet theme, and it's different women who have impacted art and culture.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pay more attention. I just thought they were cool.
But they're beautiful, aren't they? And they brought in local artists to create them, I thought. So there's so many different facets of ways that we're trying to bring art and culture and allowing locals to help create it.
Yeah.
I just love it.
It's, the impact that art can have on people, and then
it makes a huge difference to have a space and to have a city that really embraces the beauty of outdoor artwork, outdoor installations, these massive murals. And really, I mean, Art Prize, for all the things it brought in, was a huge catalyst to bringing that kind of culture back to Grand Rapids. I mean, we've had the Festival of Arts for 50 years. And it was always one of my favorite things to go downtown that first weekend in June. One, food trucks. Like that's going to be a big thing for me. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's more like what tents am I not going to stop at? I'm going to go home sick. But having all of this focus on art, and not just printed or not just painted, but performing art and putting it on stages all the way down the street, and just seeing the entire city flood in to see what is here this year. I think it's just inspirational. I love it.
Did you go downtown for the World of Winter?
I did. Yeah. I did. We kind of popped in around a couple of different places, and my kids loved to find the ice sculptures. Okay. So
the gnomes were hilarious. Like, if you read the signs.
No, I didn't see those.
The signs were really cool.
That's awesome.
That they had. So yeah, we did a TikTok on that, I think. So.
That's awesome. Yes. Well, definitely, I'll have to go find that TikTok.
World of Winter, it's like every year they come up with some new stuff to bring people downtown. And for us, it's like something we have to do. So we have to go down there and check it out and take pictures with everything. And my wife's really into that stuff too. So
it's just fun to pop out and find. I mean, because we are so used to the city. It's the same skyline for us. They might put in something new. They might put in, a new painting or new mural, but it's still our downtown. But for that to be like converted or inspired, and even if it's for a short amount of time, to kind of re-experience your own city, it's amazing. It's so fun.
So looking back at our conversation, like, it's really obvious that you're passionate about helping women and entrepreneurs. Like, what is some advice that you would give a new entrepreneur that's just starting?
Take the first step. I mean, there is nothing about my life that is not made better by the fact that I work for myself. I loved work. I loved my years at Amway. It gave me incredible opportunities. I loved the connections that I made. But my life today allows me to pick up my kids after school every day. And my life today allows me to say, you know what, we're having a bad day. We're closing our office on Friday because everybody's just in a bad mood. And we're closed today. We're putting on the away message. We're done. And it allows me to take care of my team when they need it. I'm allowed to decide what my life looks like.
Having that flexibility is huge.
But you can't do it unless you're willing to take the first step. You don't have to look at what the end goal is. We don't have to look at what your business is going to look like in 5 years. It's really, what's the first step? And the first step is deciding you're going to do it. And then the first step is starting to build it. It doesn't have to be what's the big picture. It has to be, what do I have to do first? Take the first step. Don't look at the elephant. Look at the first bite.
So I'm sure a lot of people would look at you as a role model or someone to look up to.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm sure they do. But who would be some of your role models?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I was raised, my dad passed away when I was young. My mom did remarry, but my mom is this powerhouse woman. She raised me by herself. She took over a business when my dad had passed away. She did it with this softness that I'm absolutely the polar opposite. I'm big, I'm loud, I take up space. And I'm sure it was really hard to raise a kid as big and loud as me. But I look at her as this huge inspiration, and this calm, this person who you persevere, you figure out how to do it and you just move forward. And so some of that comes from that. My family is mostly women. We are loud, big. If you want to talk around us, you're going to have to shout. Like we're loud.
My brothers are that way.
It's just, and we all pack into a kitchen. I don't understand why we all have, well, that's where the food is. So we all pack in really tightly, talk really loud. And there's so many personalities in that room that I'm inspired by all of my aunts, and they're all completely different, but there's different facets of each woman that just blow me away.
Have you noticed, like in family events, you mentioned gathering in the kitchen, like that's weird. I think like even when there's not food, I feel like everybody gathers in the kitchen.
It's the safest place to be for us.
There's nice couches in the other room that people can sit on. Yeah.
Because we are mostly loud women, and when we do bring a significant other or a spouse in, they don't know how to handle us. They're the ones that sit on the couches. They're the ones that go to the basement. They're the ones that hide from the noise. And it's usually like they kind of pop their head up like, are we still good? Okay, we're good. And then go back to hiding wherever they need to hide.
Yeah.
So it just amazes me the amount of positive women that I'm surrounded by. And then I'm inspired by women I meet every day, women that are my clients, women who've struggled, women who have seen the things and have survived the things. And I feel like it's not always these big voices. It's not always the Oprahs that I find inspiring. I mean, they're incredible. Brene Brown, my God, I want to be her when I grow up. Like she is
Dare to Lead.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love her.
I've seen her speak a couple times.
I watch her Netflix special probably once a month. Like it's, I could probably recite it. I watch it so often.
All right.
But it's the people that I run across every day that I feel like are my biggest role models. It's a thing that they do that I want to embody, a part of them that's amazing that I want to be better at.
Yeah.
So it's not always just a big name. It's my friend Dawn at Break Room Therapy keeps working her butt off every single day for her business.
I'm excited to meet with her.
Oh my goodness, you are going to love her. She's just fantastic. But it's, the parts of her that are just, we're going to do this. We're going to survive this. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And I'm going to bring in the right people, and I'm going to find the right spaces, and I'm going to call on my friends, and they're going to help me. And it's that personality where I'm like, I need that. Those are the things that I struggle with sometimes, is letting other people in, letting people support me. And she's so great at it when she finds those people. Mm-hmm. That's somebody I want to be like.
So we're just about done, but is there anything that I missed that you wish I would have asked kind of during the podcast here?
No, I feel like we probably could have had this conversation for hours. I mean, I know we have only so much time on a podcast, but I guess the only question that I wish you would have asked is, are we going to do another one? Are we going out for lunch after this? Like, I just let's continue the conversation. I'm such a people person that, conversations for me are just natural. I love to sit down and chat and learn about somebody's business or learn about somebody's life. So to kind of be interviewed is really hard. I've been fighting the urge to ask you questions back.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, what is your favorite part of your business?
Helping people. So originally when getting into real estate, you think that this business is about selling houses, right? Which I think a lot of people that do get in this business feel that way. And that's usually the ones that don't last. Mm-hmm. For me, it's always been about helping the people and helping them find, and not just the people finding them a house, right? It's also helping my team. Yeah. So I have a team of 15 real estate agents.
Amazing.
My biggest sense of accomplishment comes from them, seeing them succeed, seeing them change their lives with the income they're making and the people they're helping. Mm-hmm. That's huge for me.
Okay. I love it. What do you feel like you should have known before you moved into real estate? What was one, like your biggest?
I wish I would have done it sooner.
Sooner.
I let myself get talked out of this a few times. So before cell phones, I actually, a newspaper ad. It wasn't social media back then, but it was a newspaper ad that I responded to, and I let somebody talk me out of getting into real estate when I was like 24. And I waited 12 years after that to actually do it. And
what convinced you to try?
I just kept thinking that was what I wanted to do. Okay. I wanted to have control of like my schedule. I've always been an entrepreneur, right? Like I've always done this. it's always been something, real estate has always been something in my mind that I
Yeah.
felt like I wanted to do. There was a guy I knew when I was 16 years old that drove a nice car, and he seemed to never work. And that seemed like the perfect job.
Right. Doesn't that sound like the dream job?
But I don't know how, what the rest of his day looked like, but I just know that he was around a lot.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that was interesting to me, and to help people with a huge decision like buying a house, like is such a privilege to be able to help people do that the few times they get to do it in their life. And now I get to do it all the time, and I get to help other people learn how to be better at it. So I wish I would have done it sooner. And the other thing I wish I would have known when I actually did end up getting into this business would be that when you're getting into real estate, you're not actually interviewing brokerages on why they should hire you. You should be interviewing them on why they should want you to be part of their company. What can they do to help you be successful and get ahead, and what type of education do they offer and opportunities do they have for somebody getting started in this business? Because the failure rate is very high. So your brokerage should be helping you.
I just love that concept of, you go in for an interview, and really any career. It's not always that you're trying to get them to convince them. You also need to decide and interview them on whether this is a place that you belong. How are they going to support you? It's not just, well, yes, they offered me the job. Is this a place I want to be? How do they support me? How do they take care of me? Do they care if I'm having a bad day? What does my leadership structure look like? You're as much interviewing a company as a company is interviewing you. And I love that you bring that to the forefront when it comes to brokerages, because it is a big deal. It can be a deal breaker if you're not supported by your brokerage.
A lot of brokerages actually just look for numbers, right?
Yeah.
And that's what and it's not the number of sold homes that they have. It's how many agents do they have, because they do make money, even if you're not making money, because you're paying desk fees and that kind of thing. So
what do you feel is one skill an entrepreneur needs to have in order to be successful?
Willing to fail. I know we've talked about this a few times, but you can't be afraid to make mistakes. You just got to do it and learn from them and grow and get better, right? So if you think about things too long, or if you are afraid to make mistakes, you're not going to accomplish much, I don't think.
I love that. I guess for me, the biggest entrepreneurial pull, or the thing that you really have to have, is you have to be willing to hear everybody tell you no, and be able to survive when somebody says, no, I don't think this is going to work. And I find that sometimes it's the people that are closest to us, the ones that we think would support us in anything, that are the first to go, yeah, this is a really bad idea. You shouldn't do this. Then there's the people who are in your corner who are going, yes, you absolutely can do this. But to be able to hear and survive if everybody says, no, this is a bad plan, I think you just have to be able to do that, because not everybody has that entrepreneurial spirit like we do. They don't necessarily always understand it.
I think there is going to be those people who say no, but then you find out who your friends are and who's in your corner, and who's going to be in your corner in 5 years. Probably not them, right? And you got to have self-confidence, right? You got to know for a fact that you are going to do this and you're going to make it work and do whatever it takes. And even if that means making mistakes.
And sometimes that means, as an entrepreneur, we're working, sometimes it feels like I'm working 20 hours a day.
Yeah, we are.
Just feeling connected all the time. Like, this thing always is blowing up. This phone on like, oh, here, it's always buzzing. To put it on Do Not Disturb, it's kind of sketchy. Like, I don't know when I'm going to walk back to. But there's also the opportunity for me to go, you know what, I'm just, like I said, not working today. We're closed today.
Yeah, there's a thing in real estate. If you go on vacation, you're pretty much guaranteed to sell a house.
Really?
Yeah. And it works out pretty much every time I go on vacation. That happens.
Well, then I think it just means you need to go on vacation at least once a month, right? Like, just keep being gone for a while.
Yeah. So it's been really great talking with you and getting to know you a little bit better, and hearing about how you help women and empower them to be entrepreneurs and lead their best lives. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share with me.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Yeah. So how could somebody get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me is either through socials or through email. I am constantly attached to my cell phone, so you can follow what things we're up to on our socials for Kaleidoscope Effect or for Flamingo Consulting. And you can also find our information on both of our websites for how to get in touch with me personally if you want to drop me a note. I love meeting people for lunch.
Cool. Well, we'll have to do that.
Definitely.
Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you.